So once we're working together and you're our client and we're your attorneys, then you're not always going to see the behind the scenes and what we're doing every day to move your case forward. And that's a good thing, because that's why you hired us, so that you don't have to do those things, talking to the insurance companies, answering their questions, sending them the documentation, and all of that stuff. That's what we're doing. But still, we know that you want to know what's going on. And so our goal is for us to have a conversation, every 30 days or so, to keep you in the loop as to what's going on. Sometimes it's going to be more than that, because sometimes you're going to have questions that you need answered because your case is specific, which is true of every case. Every single case is different. So you might have more questions or more needs than another person does, and that's just fine. But at minimum, we like to talk to you by text or by email or by phone about every 30 days to make sure you know what we're doing, and so we know where you are in your process, what your doctors are telling you, if you've gotten any more information in the mail, any more bills or notices of some sort. So we like to keep in touch. We also have a client portal where we update you. We organize all of our cases by stages, and so we update you as to what's going on in that particular case. In your case, during that stage, what you can expect during that stage, how long you can expect it to last, what we're working on, what we need from you, what we're waiting on from other people. So those are some of the ways that we try to stay in touch and keep you in the loop as to what's happening. Because we know that sometimes it can feel like you've handed this process off to people, but you don't really know what's going on with it. And we know what we're doing, and we know that your case is in good hands, but we want you to know that too. So that's our goal.
And oftentimes from the client's perspective, there's a lot of work that goes on, that happens in the case initially after you've hired our firm, and we do a lot of things with the insurance company and setting up treatment, all these things going on. And then from the client's perspective, that kind of falls off. They're like, okay, well, I haven't heard from them. What's going on? And typically what happens is, like Erica's saying, our goal is to have some form of communication every 30 days or so. It doesn't always happen, but that's our goal for every case in our office. But typically after that first initial rush of activity, it really comes down to the client is really just treating at that point. And where there's not a whole lot of activity going on from our perspective other than monitoring the case, getting in your medical records, reviewing those, staying up to tune or up to touch with the provider, what's going on with your treatment. But we're not advancing your case forward because we're not in that position until you've reached what we call maximum medical improvement per your doctor. So that can be frustrating from the client. The client's looking at it from, well, what's going on in my case? What are y'all doing? Well, we can't do anything until you have reached a point with your treatment where you give us the thumbs up, or certainly your provider, that you're feeling better, you're ready to move on, you feel like at least where you were before the crash. So that can be frustrating again for the client, because we have cases where people have needed treatment for over a year and a half, 2 years. I mean, it just depends. Every case is different. Or people need treatment for 3 months, and it's a very clean process from the start to the finish, and there's a lot of communication. Or the flip side of that is where it's a longer case, more traumatic injuries, and we're monitoring the case, but we can't advance the case until you reach that point with your provider where you can be released from care.
So yeah, there are going to be times throughout your case that maybe seem kind of like lulls, and there might be like long gaps in times that you hear from us. But we still want to make sure that we're trying to get in touch with you and just touch base with you about every 30 days or so, just to make sure that things are going okay with you, that you don't have questions for us, that you're not feeling lost in the process. And, so we might reach out just to see how things are going, and we might not need anything from you. We just might be wanting to check in and see how things are going. But we do like to set the expectation that there are certain stages where you're going to hear from us a lot, and then there are certain stages where we're doing what we need to do in the background, you're doing what you need to do, and it doesn't necessarily require us to talk as frequently. But still, nonetheless, we want you to know that You can always contact us to just check in and see how things are going. We're going to try to contact you to check in and see how things are going. The cool thing is that you can text us, and that's a lot easier for some people these days to be able to text instead of having to find time to make a phone call and be on the phone for a long time. You can, of course, email us, and obviously you can certainly call us too. But in addition to all of that, we also have our client portal where we've worked to explain each stage of the process in great detail so that you can understand if you're just, if it is 10 o'clock at night and you're just kind of wondering what's going on, you can absorb as much of that information about what happens in that stage as you want to and have time for. Those are just some of the ways that we try to stay in touch with you and keep you prepared for what to expect.